8 a year ago. Now 8 of the 11 starters are new this year, but they are certainly a talented team, as indicative of their preseason ranking, and it's not like they've had all that bad a year. You see their series history between the two clubs, and while they are new ACC foes, they actually have a pretty deep catalog of games against one another. There was an outstanding game in Dallas last year, the first time they played as ACC opponents. So we are underway again with Sarah Aschheim, Greg Wong. SMU is in the red, looking to spoil senior night for Stanford, who comes in wearing the blacks.
Late tackle there. Palmer Bank coming in was a great just one-time pass right there. As we get another look at this, Palmer Bank not expecting that to be a one-time pass right there. That's Daniel Escorcia, who just one-timed it and got all of Palmer Bank. Not a small person to get all of.
The Bank brothers have been outstanding this season, and Escorcia is one of the leaders for SMU. You see him there. He is a native of Colombia, but he played at Dallas Richland before transferring here to SMU this year. That is a Division III team. He was a D3 All-American, and we'll say his name a lot today, number 10 in red.
Yeah, leading this team in assists, and that's exactly what you want out of a midfielder. Wearing the number 10, playing the number 10, that's what you want from the 10. He's in charge of pulling the strings, controlling the attack, and he's done a great job of it so far this year.
That's the other guy that Stanford was keyed in on. You just saw him run across the screen, number 7 in red, Jalen Mitchell, who is an ACC Player of the Year watch list selectee coming into the season. Number 7 again in red, as it's a veteran SMU team. Stanford coming off that 1-0 win against USF earlier this week. Sarah, you called that match, and as you see Will Clary try to get this out of trouble. Overall, how would you assess the way the Cardinal played? You mentioned they got the one goal out of it from De Flores, but we talked to head coach Jeremy Gunn before tonight's game, and just some ups and downs from that match. Plenty to work on the training pitch getting ready for tonight.
Yeah, Jeremy Gunn was very positive coming out of that match, and I think he's obviously very right when he says, goals are very hard in soccer. It's easy from sitting on the bench or sitting in the stands to sit there and say, oh, look at how many times as we get a look here at Jeremy Gunn, look at how many times the ball was in the box. I can't believe they didn't score. Well, goals are pretty hard to come by. That's why you see a lot of very low score lines. So he was proud of how they played. In his mind, it's about putting the ball in dangerous opportunities and knowing that goal will come. And that's what happened against USF. And he said, people can overlook somebody like a USF on the schedule, but USF had taken 2 of the last 2 off of Stanford coming into that matchup. WCC, a very strong conference, so it was a battle all night. Stanford ended up on top.
Yeah, they were at least either right on the border of the rankings or even crept into the top 25 during the non-conference slate. And he was very complimentary of San Francisco. And it is senior night. You saw Jeremy Gunn there, and he, to be honest, downplayed senior night, not because he doesn't appreciate what these seniors have done, as Tanconi Gradias, the redshirt junior converted striker to center back, handles that, but because these are such high leverage matches at this point of the year, we'll have the rest of our lives to reflect back on how our college careers went and to get emotional, but it's all about the business at hand. And not only that, they're hoping to play many more games here at Kagan this season.
Yeah, I think that was part of the really important piece of what he said. And as you see Stanford in that high press, it'll be interesting to see here how SMU handles this high press. Now, opting to not play out of the back. They're just going to send it forward. Dominguez making that decision there. Jeremy Gunn said, I hope this doesn't sound cocky, but we're hoping to play many more games this season. And so there's no reason to get emotional, and sometimes that can take away from the match itself. And he said, those conversations that need to be had, they'll be had at the end of the season. But right now, let's look to the next play. Let's look to the next game. Let's keep doing what we've been doing.
And it is a huge senior class, too, that, is setting the tone for this club heading into this final regular season home match. This ball back to Dominguez. Zach Bohane is right at the top of that list, number 10 in black. SMU with Pimentel. Mustangs a 3-2 win over Boston College at home in their last time out. And they are making their single game trip here to the Bay Area as they play Stanford. And then we'll head back to the Lone Star State for their final match of the year at home against the Virginia Cavaliers. How's that for a 1-2 to end the season? Stanford and Virginia, which represents a pretty good opportunity for the Mustangs as they try to beef up their postseason resume. That's Slade Starnes skying high for that header. It's only as far as Jack Pym. And now Cleary, shot from distance. Cleary, part of that senior day ceremony out of Windsor, Connecticut. And he's a guy that, when he's been healthy, he's almost never left the pitch. Plays almost every minute that he's available.
He's having a great senior season as well. 2 goals, 3 assists. He assisted in their most recent game in that 1-0 win over USF. His parents, Joe and Nancy, in attendance tonight, were also collegiate athletes. He's carrying the torch.
Stanford senior class, you know, they've been building up to this moment, a chance to do some really special stuff in their final season. The head coach, by the way, for SMU is Kevin Hudson. And the Mustangs have actually become a pretty consistent club, whether they're in the ACC or the AAC, which they were in prior to joining the ACC a year ago with Cal and Stanford.
Palmer Bank here has a big throw. He's going to get this as far into the box as he can.
That is a grown-up man throw, and it's sent to the back post in a diving effort that keeps it before getting to the line. Dominguez comes out to grab it.
And you mentioned the journey to the ACC. It's fun because both of these teams got to play each other last year. As we get another look here, you can see Dominguez's view just totally obscured. He doesn't get his eyes on that ball until the last second. That's why that throw into the box is so dangerous. But back to this ACC journey, you mentioned, obviously these two teams playing each other last year in both of their first seasons in the ACC. They joined along with Cal as first-time members all together in the 2024 season. And it's been a journey. You mentioned they were previously in the American Athletic Conference. That was from 2013 to 2023. Before that, they were in Conference USA from 2005 to 2012.
Of course, this school, Southern Methodist, has so much athletic pedigree throughout their year, as this dangerously bounces to the feet of Shane DeFlores and just clips over the bar. It'll be a Stanford corner. So DeFlores just could not get the right touch, but both he and, we saw a moment ago, Tenconi Gradias just barely missed that header.
We get a look here, and Shane DeFlores has been applying pressure in that around that 6-yard box all game. This will be the sophomore Alex Chow to take it with the left. It'll be dangerous in swinging from this far side.
Number 1 for the 3rd straight week. This is taken towards the back post. Almost a one-time effort off the spinning move by Jack Pym. And eventually SMU able to get this one to relative safety. Yeah, the Mustangs, they have been well-traveled conference-wise, but it's during this run, during their time in their last conference, the American Athletic Conference, which had the likes of UConn and the other USF, University of South Florida, that they became a pretty consistent team in terms of making the NCAAs under Kevin Hudson. And he is a multi-time coach of the year from that AAC. Palmer Bank. And see if SMU can catch them on the counter. And Josh Partall was all over that. A lot of time spent on this end of the pitch, as you would expect. Number 1 team in the nation setting the tone early. But here we'll see if SMU can get Stanford working defensively for one of the first times today. And here comes Clayton Pimentel, who's got a lot of pace, and he's showing it off here. Palmer Bank, though, comes up strong with that left foot to force them to put it back in play.
That was good work there. That's Daniel Escorcia starting that off as we get a look here at Kevin Hudson.
Yeah, you see there, he was a member of that SMU team that made it to the College Cup. One of just a handful of College Cups this club has made, and then he was an assistant on the staff before being promoted to head coach, so he has pretty much been a lifelong Mustang.
Yeah, you see they're a member of the 2000 National Championship team. That's one of 2 total national championships.
Scrambled here into the box. Stanford able to poke it free. Alex Chow.
Their national championship for SMU coming in 2005. You mentioned their NCAA tournament appearances, 36 overall, including the past 3 years straight. They had a run last year in 2024. They finished 5th in the ACC, 4-2-2 in the conference. They beat Boston College in the first round of the ACC tournament and then lost to Wake Forest in the quarterfinal. And then eventually in the NCAA tournament, lost 3-2 to Marshall in the Elite 8. Marshall, by the way, ended up going all the way to the final, lost to the victors Vermont in the NCAA championship.
It's a long way to say they've got some pretty good swagger, even though they come in as the heavy underdog. And here, an early chance from right outside the penalty area. Challenge that sets it up for this free kick.
I would say not just swagger, but quite a veteran squad as well, which is always what you need sometimes to make a big run in the tournament. As you see Fletcher Bank there, making sure nothing gets past the wall that I'm assuming will be jumping. 5 Stanford players in the wall, including Fletcher Bank on the ground.
Groneveld is the one that is whistled for the foul, and here comes this effort at goal, and it was whistling, but it was always high. And there it is. That's Sogamonian. 9 goals on the season, 6 coming in ACC play, and again, this just his 3rd start of the season, his 2nd in a row.
Yeah, I love it. You go with the hot hand, you go with the righty who can try to curve that around the wall into the top bin. He just misses narrowly, but a good opportunity, a good shot. I like that.
Yeah, Sarah, you've called a lot of Stanford soccer over these past few years, including this season, so you've had a lot of opportunities to watch. Number 1 in net for Stanford, between the post, Rowan Schnebley, and we highlighted him. He's part of this just dominant defensive effort. They have not conceded since they had that amazing comeback against Oregon State, which was about a month and a half ago. And you know, Jeremy Gunn's been very pleased with the way that Schnebley has played, but really this entire, not just backline, but the entire team defense. This one of the great coaches in all of America, 3-time national champion, one of 2 coaches in the nation that have won 3 straight D1 national titles. And as you mentioned, Sarah, in the open, he highlighted it's the team. It's Rowan who's the head of the stake, but there are so many defenders on this club when you look up and down the formation.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of speaking to Jeremy Gunn before this match, and he said, you know, obviously when you talked about the 4 clean sheets, we're going to highlight the goalkeeper as we should. We're going to highlight the back line as we should. But he said, we like to control the game, and a lot of people look at controlling the game as having possession. We actually like to think we can control the game when we don't have the ball as well, and that starts with everybody. He was talking about how in practice they were working on the forwards and how the forwards are going to press the opposing back line. It's an entire group effort. It's a team effort on defense. They move as a full 11, and that's part of why they've had 4 clean sheets in a row, is because they've started to lock down how that 11 moves together defensively and that full field defensive shape. It's truly one of the hardest things to nail down in the game of soccer, but if you can nail down that 11 defensive shape, it can be almost unbeatable.
And that's part of the culture he's created, that a guy like Tanconi Gradias has now become one of their defensive anchors at the back, and he's a converted striker, played his first 3 seasons at striker. Alex Chow trying to get around this and beaten by Pimentel. It'll be a goal kick for Dominguez.
And Jeremy Gunn had a lot of praise for his 2 center backs. It's two completely new center backs and two players who are completely new to the position. Last year, Noah Adden, who's been graduated, and Dylan Hooper, who was carrying an injury into this from the off season, and it's Dylan Grunewald, who was playing in the center mid, who's been locking down the left center back, and it's Alfonso Tenconi-Gradias, who you just mentioned, converted from a striker into that right center back, and he said that pairing's just been two of the best in the entire country, according to Jeremy Gunn. He said, in my opinion, I think that they are.
And Hooper, good to see that he got some play in the last match Stanford had against USF. That's part of this just ridiculous defense by the Cardinal. It's been hard to stick at #1 this season, but Stanford has been able to do the trick. They're in the top spot in the rankings. That game against Oregon State, that was September 24th, so it's been almost 1 month to the day that the Cardinal have conceded.
Zach.
This is Vlad Landsberg, who is one of a number of Europeans on the pitch, and he gives it away. And here comes Alex Chow with that left foot, hammers it over the crossbar.
SMU get lucky there. That's exactly the wrong place to give the ball away. You can see Chow as he's taking a touch. He was assessing his options. He had two players flanking him on either side. Didn't feel like they were open, opted for the shot, and you can see he's disappointed in that. Just couldn't quite get the chest over it, but Alex Chow, one of two lefties. He plays on the left side of this four across in the midfield. Zach Bohane plays on the right side. Both of them left-footed, and they can both shoot from distance and shoot from outside of the 18. We've seen them both score quite a few goals from that distance, so he's disappointed with himself there, but a good look.
The top midfielders in the nation, Chow, and he has a goal this season. Now SMU, can they make Stanford feel some pressure here? Spending a lot of time doing defending, and this is headed back, but Stanford still competing for it. They do have some strong defenders, including Slade Starnes and Landsberg, who is out of Denmark. Copenhagen, as we get a couple players spilled to the ground here. It's Flores, and it's Grunewald.
Yeah, that one just called against Luis Flores. Get a picture of him there. Transferred from Oral Roberts. After last year, we get a look here. Just into the back there. Grunewald playing the ball. From that, looking like Luis Flores, but just playing the player. Such as soccer. His career at Oral Roberts, 33 games played, 32 games started. He had 22 goals and 6 assists. Just absolutely outstanding numbers for him. He actually got to play his former team this past year. Always fun to do that. He's got 3 assists and a goal in the year now. Great first year as a Mustang.
A really good transfer class for SMU. They really reloaded. Shot from a long way out. This took a touch from Fletcher Bank, but not much on it at the end, and Dominguez able to scoop it up.
Mentioned the transfer class. This roster, I mentioned veteran heavy. 19 upperclassmen, including 11 seniors on this 29-player roster. Super veteran heavy. They added a great transfer class. This team they had a run to the Elite Eight, and they wanted to gear up for an even longer one.
Yeah, you said that Flores, they played Oral Roberts earlier this season. He's the reigning Summit League Player of the Year. They also recently just played the ex-school of Charles-Emile Brunet, who is their number 8 right in the center of the park. You can see him. He's easy to spot. He's got that long hair, curly long hair that's going to be bouncing around all night. He's a hard worker. Some nice lettuce from Charles, who's from Montreal. Potentially Blue Jays fan, I don't know. Maybe it's Expos land, so he doesn't support the Jays. Anything that stood out to you, Sarah, through this opening 20 minutes of play, whether it be on Stanford's end, SMU's end, anything surprise you, or this kind of the way you thought this opening half would develop?
I think it's, interestingly enough, just very much how Jeremy Gunn said and what he wanted to do, which is control the game, whether they're on the ball or not. I think Stanford have done a great job of it. You can even see right now, look at the condensed space. Stanford forcing SMU to play on half of this field. And what that does is just you see one player on the ball, you see two black shirts around him. That's exactly what happens when you can condense the field into 50% of your playing space. So they've done a great job controlling. SMU, they're finding the pockets here and there. As you can see, that switch is going to be so important for them all night long.
Landon Pimentel making a deep run on the near side. Mitchell with some sauce, trying to set it up, and a deflection will give the Mustangs one of their first real opportunities. They had the free kick, and now they'll have a corner.
And that was a beautiful switch right there. That's exactly what SMU are going to need to do. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, but when you're under that much pressure, you need to play a quick 1-2 as we get an image there. Alfonso Tenconi-Gradias just getting his head on that for a corner kick. But when you're under as much pressure as SMU are right now from the Stanford Cardinal, you need to play a couple of quick one-touch passes and find a couple open players and then find the other side of the field and relieve that pressure. That's hard to do, easy to say, well executed there by SMU.
SMU, you noted this early, that they have just a very concentrated amount of players that usually put the ball in the back of the net, but they are dangerous. Flores to take. So stay in. It's taken by Starnes. Escorcia. Did that go over? Yes, it did, and it'll be another chance at a corner.
And this is great from SMU. Just keep it down in this attacking third, relieve some of that defensive pressure, and whenever there's a set piece, be it a corner kick or a free kick, it's always a big opportunity to score. It looks like it'll be Salcomonian to take it.
That's Sarah Ash. I'm Greg Wong here as the sun sets here on the farm. Little precipitation over the past hour or so, but not too much. It's been heavy cloud cover all day here in the Bay Area. Salcomonian to take it, and this on such a tight angle on that one-time touch, and it goes wide from Emile Brunette.
Yeah, tough angle there on that corner kick, and to get your hips all the way around to try to get it on goal. Not much that could be done right there from Brunet.
And Stanford trying to punch back and punch back in a hurry. Here's this cross, clipped! And Fletcher Bank was just inches away, just trying to redirect that to the far post, and we're used to him making magic just like that.
Fletcher Bank can't believe it. You see that, a beautiful run, a beautiful ball, just slotting that in right behind the defense. Was Zach Bohane with a non-dominant foot finding his fellow senior here on senior night. What a goal that would have been for the two seniors to connect on senior night.
Yep, Bank was part of the ceremony during the pregame. He scored 4 times this year, 3 assists, and his 11 points are third most on the Cardinal, who, unlike SMU, the goals come from pretty much everywhere, and it is really such a balanced team. You know about Bohan, you know about the Bank twins. Trevor Islam leads the way with the 6 goals, but I wouldn't say there's one standout high above the rest star on this club. A whistle here near midfield, and they'll give the Mustangs the ball, and they'll let this clock wind.
11 different goal scorers here on this Stanford team. You look at their offensive stats, and it's funny you use the word balance because Jeremy Gunn used that word a lot. Balance has been a big theme for them throughout the year, but this offense has just equally matched their defense, really. 5th in the nation in shots per game, 11th in the nation in scoring offense, 15th in the nation in shots on goal per game, 17th in total points, and averaging 2.29 goals per game.
Look at this pressure. It's why this defense has been so dominant. They do not give you a chance to breathe, but pretty nice footwork from Brunet to send SMU on the break. Cleary tried to slide tackle. There's Mitchell again, that stop and start ability. He makes it really hard to defend him on the wings. They like to get the ball on the sides. This is a dangerous looking ball, and it needed that header from Palmer Bank. Slid home. This takes a touch in that 6-yard area. Almost a clean look. Headed though right at the end. Didn't get all of it, and it was headed off the line. But SMU is asking questions here in the latter half of this opening period. Trying to be the first team to score against Stanford in over a month. And yeah, Sarah, the offense has been spectacular all year long. One of the best under Jeremy Gunn during his tenure. This is a missed slide challenge, and it opens up room for the shot. And just wide of Schnebley's post. But Sogamonian with another really dangerous effort.
Great look by Sogamonian. We're going to see him turn, get his head up, pick out a spot. Just wide. He's found himself in some good positions. It's Daniel Escorcia, though, wearing the number 10, playing in that attacking center mid position, who has just been pulling these strings offensively in such a beautiful way for this SMU squad. Getting the ball to who you're seeing right now, number 30, Sogamonian, because he's been that top goal scorer. 9 goals, 8 of them in the last 4 matches. Why not put him on the ball as we get a look here at number 10, Escorcia, the classic in soccer. You know, you wear the number 10, you play the number 10. It's a very coveted number. Lionel Messi, of course, wears it, and he's certainly doing the number justice tonight, pulling the strings offensively.
Yeah, you can see players, they'll change around their number even if they're in the wrong position that doesn't match up with their number. Here, Tomo Allen's going to come in for Shane DeFlores. But if you're a number 10 and you play in that attacking midfield area, there's not a lot of players that like to stray away from 10. That tells everybody with one number what you're all about. Scorsia from Bogota, Colombia, and a nice sliding effort there right across the byline to deny that opportunity. That's Landsberg, the Dane.
Great.
It's going to be a corner.
Yeah, great effort there. It looked like a miscommunication, honestly, between Landsberg and his fellow center back, and Tomo Allen just applies the pressure, able to win the corner kick. You can see that communication break down there.
Yeah, Tomo Allen, part of this just ridiculous recruiting class for Jeremy Gunn. He's got all types of talent just onto the pitch, and he's got that freshman energy. Here comes this in-swinging ball. Not cleared, though, by SMU. 6 shots for Stanford, just 1 on target, though. It was that header by Tencono Gradias, and another ball here. This cross handled easily. You see Sogamonian will leave, and Emmanuel comes in. He's another guy that is a dangerous player, number 20 in red. So just 1 shot on target today for both teams. Although SMU, they've had a couple chances that arguably have been better than the Cardinal. And look at this spin by Flores, and he just could not get around Tencono Gradias.
Oh, just a missed opportunity there. I think he's going to regret trying to take that ball behind him. If he just opened up his body on the half turn, maybe taking it with the left and opening that body instead of trying to turn, he might not have lost sight of it there and found himself open in space.
And you said it, that last word you said, space. That is what SMU loves. Who doesn't? There's a little clip. Jack Pym, and the referee shows him yellow. First yellow of the match.
This is important as well because Jack Pym was on 4 yellow cards coming into this match. If you get a 5th, you're going to be suspended for one game. That's the yellow card accumulation rule here in the NCAA. So he will be suspended for Stanford's final match when they take on Cal on Halloween, actually, at Cal. That's a big loss for the Stanford Cardinal. His freshman has been just outstanding in the center midfield. It's the 2 freshmen, Joshua Partal and Jack Pym, holding down that center midfield in the 4-4-2. Luckily, it's just 1 game, but there's not much you can do about it.
Obviously, you'd rather have it here than during the postseason, but still, Pym is one of 3 who came into this game for Stanford on 4 yellow cards. We'll tell you the others in a second. They take this free kick quick, and they get it down the side on a pretty lightning fast run there by Clayton Pimentel. Man, these Mustangs, they like to run. Of course, their ex-football team, those great football teams of the past called the Pony Express, and these guys definitely have some locomotive in them too.
Stanford with a high press, but SMU matching them equally. I love what they've been doing so far. They're applying pressure to the Stanford back line, sending balls all the way over the top, knowing they have that speed that you just mentioned, Greg, as you see right here, and then playing off of their center forwards.
And the flag is up, offside, but they've had a nice response as SMU. The other yellow card, guys with 4 yellow cards for the Cardinal, Tomo Allen has 4. And then their big center back, Gronefeld, also has 4. Emmanuel is in. And, you know, that's in the mind of Jeremy Gunn. Just he starts to figure out how much he wants to, who he wants to have out on the pitch, just because of that risk. And we'd be remiss, by the way, of course, because why wouldn't we? We asked Jeremy Gunn, what's it like being number 1? Not that he is inexperienced being number 1, his teams, but this club has made it into the number 1 spot for 3 straight times. And he said point blank, I kind of view number 1 spot as poison for this team, because it doesn't really mean much at this point. It just means a lot for the fans and for the media to talk about, which we do love talking about, the rankings. I don't know what we do without him.
It was very clear as we get a picture here of Jeremy Gunn as the Stanford Cardinal will set up for this corner kick. It's all about the next play, the next match, and hanging nothing on rankings or who the opponent is. You could be the number 1 team in the nation and Stanford could be 150th. He said, we're always going to take it the same way. None of that outside stuff matters.
Wonderful pat on the back, but it means nothing until we get the work done. That's what he said. This ball sent in by Partal, and now on the volley. That is so tough to catch. And Jack Pym could not get it right.
Yeah, a difficult ball for Jack Pym there to hit on the one-time volley. I think if that found the back of the net, we might have seen it on SportsCenter tomorrow. Just incredibly difficult as we get a look here at the freshman who's, honestly, we mentioned how outstanding, but let's just take a look at this. The freshman out of Stanford, Connecticut, 3 goals on the season. He scored in each of his first 2 games against Sacramento State and University of Denver. And then he also scored against Virginia Tech back on September 21st. He's been really an anchor here in this center midfield position, playing more of the 8, more of the box-to-box, as his fellow Partal plays more of that holding number 6. But the two work so well together, and both of them being in the freshman class, it's going to be a fun 4 years to watch those two play together.
Yeah, there are 3 Stanford freshmen that were named to the top 100 midseason freshman list, and right at the top of the list is Jack Pym. He was number 4 in the freshman midseason 100. From Stanford, Connecticut, a product of Inter Miami's youth teams.
It'll be interesting to see how Jeremy Gunn handles substitutions now, if that changes anything, if the yellow card changes anything, that is, knowing that he will be out for the Cal game, or is he going to get more minutes now in this game, knowing he'll get 90 minutes of rest come Halloween. We'll see how he handles that.
Well, it's disappointing for sure, because you know Jack Pym was looking forward to his first rivalry match against Cal in Berkeley on Halloween. You know that's going to be fun across the bay.
Yeah, and again.
Stanford just hoping at this point it's only him that's going to miss that match. As you say, they throw the records out the window, and you've got the arch rivals butting heads. Still 0-0 with about a dozen minutes left here in the opening half with Sarah Ash. I'm Greg Wong here on the ACC network. And we've had a little bit more ragged play here in the last 10 minutes or so, and we've got a Mustang down.
Yeah, it looked like a collision with Tomo Allen and center back Slade Starnes for the Mustangs. Those are 2 very tall and very strong collegiate men colliding right there. No surprise that they find themselves down. Slade Starnes standing at 6'3". That's what you want in a center back. You want that height. And Tomo Allen very tall as well, also 6'3".
And with Starnes, also Alex Salvo was down. Those two, 5 and 6. Those are tough to tell apart. They both play right next to each other. And they're both outstanding. Salvo and Starnes each wear the captain's armband. And they're each over 6 feet. This ball goes to SMU.
Jeremy Gunn talked about having to disrupt the flow of SMU. We've seen when they can get going and how that flow can be not just explosive and very, very dynamic. Coming back the other direction, they can play in possession in their attacking half, or they can go on the counter, and Stanford have done a good job of kind of stifling that attack that SMU were starting to put together. They were in some flow, and sometimes you need a couple of fouls. You need to get a little physical just to break something up, and that seems to be what's been happening.
Yes, defensively, it's been a bend but don't break situation. Stanford really in this attacking third has not put Dominguez all that much into harm's way, but they put the pressure on the back line. And we'll see if they can finally get a breakthrough here at the end of the opening half. Salvo with the clearance. Picked that up. His head coach was right on it. On our Nat Sounds mic, you could hear Kevin Hudson giving Salvo a lot of credit for that. He is a former Texas high school player of the year. Stuck around his home state to play his college soccer. Allen just hops right over the defender, but cannot escape more of the traffic. Possession heavily in favor of the Cardinal, but SMU's had their opportunities. There's Kevin Hudson. Liam Doyle, Japanese international, comes on.
Liam Doyle, one of the seniors being honored tonight as well. He'll join Jude Stone, who also enters freshman in the midfield. Those two getting regular minutes off of the bench in the midfield together throughout the season.
14 in black. Here's some skill near midfield by Will Cleary. And now Doyle gets his first touch. See there the other substitute, Jude Stone, 22 in black. This goes off the thigh of Escorcia. And here comes Pimentel now trying to chase this down, just runs right through the back, and so far no whistle, and it ends up going in favor of the Mustangs.
Yeah, I think that's technically going to be a handball called on Dylan Grunewald, who fell to the ground, wanted the call, thought he was getting the call, and went to go grab the ball. As you see here, an image of Dylan Grunewald. We'll see this here. Grunewald gets in a good position. He does get a shove in the back. You can see why he thought he was about to get the call. He grabs the ball, realizes it's still in play. That's going to be a handball called on Grunewald, one of the two holding down this center back position, the junior. Coronado, California, member of the ACC all-academic team last year.
And Fletcher, or actually, Fletcher Bank is trying to talk this through with our referee. Schnebley trying to organize this back line. And this free kick headed towards the near posts, but never threatening.
Yeah, that one just a little too long. The goal there was a long ball far towards the back post and past the back post, and you want to get the header back across into the middle, aiming kind of at that 6-yard spot, and that opens everything up in the middle of the box. That's the goal of that free kick, but just a little too much on it there on that one from Brunet.
4 shots to 7. Stanford out shooting SMU by 3. But they had SMU's defending a lot early. They've still been defending as this match has gone on, but it seems like Mustangs have been able to get more comfortable. And now Manuel's trying to chase after this. And the flag is up.
Yeah, coming back from an offside position. That's the call right there. Stanford will take over.
That's Frank Anderson getting some airtime, our head referee. Brendan Chapman and Devlin Creighton are the other two officials, the assistants. Peter Hansen is the fourth official. That's Cardinal offense so far held in check by the SMU defense, who again, they came in as a top team in the nation, which tells you the type of talent they have right now, still trying to build enough of a resume to make it an easy selection day for them to qualify for the NCAAs. But they do come in unranked. There's the clean challenge, but it is out for a Stanford throw. And that was Brunet.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Loving that we're getting the direction here. All of Kevin Hudson's directions we get to hear.
If he wants to join us on air, that's also fine. He's basically our third commentator as it is. I was listening to some of the other SMU broadcasts, and that guy was born to be a head coach with his voice, those pipes. Doyle takes a tumble, and this will be a free kick for the Cardinal. And this will give Stanford a chance, one of their few set-piece opportunities here in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, this game has changed from very flowy to very choppy. A lot of stops and starts, which does make it hard on both teams. But set-piece opportunities are so important. And right now, we're seeing number 16, Josh Partal, standing over at the freshman alongside the senior, Zach Bohane. Partal with the right, Bohane with the left, and Bohane, number 10 right there with the captain's armband. He's got a lethal left foot.
One of the top players in Stanford history, Bohane, trying to make some senior day magic. This is headed away. There are a couple black shirts down there. Neither one could get their head to it. And this is cleared to Emmanuel. That first touch bounds near side. Can he get control? Yes, he can. That was beautifully done. Emmanuel making his run, and there's the recovery from Palmer Bank. But only for a moment. Escorcia. You've noted it's there. He's been the engine, and he whips this in back post. Allen trying to clear it. And they're going to give the foul. That's the 6th foul against the Cardinal today. And remember, Tomo Allen also has the 4 yellow cards. Looks like he will not be booked this time, but it is going to be a dangerous free kick chance for the Mustangs.
Yeah, you get a look here. Beautiful timed slide there from Palmer Bank. He's just unfortunate to run into Daniel Escorcia on the other side of it. And here's the foul that we see on Tomo Allen. I mean, you could make an argument either way here, foul or no foul. Honestly, it could go either direction. Obviously not going to be a yellow card. That's just a nice 50-50 battle. But again, we've gone free kick to free kick, and now back here to free kick. 4 men in the wall for the Stanford Cardinal and 2 over the ball for SMU.
His stick is along there, but instead it's going to be Charles Emile Brunet, and he gave everybody some stopped heartbeats here in the stands. They at least skipped a few times, and that was another shot that, while it didn't hit the target, it definitely made a few people sweat.
Yeah, you like that look from Brunet. The goal there is to really try to curve it around the wall. He didn't quite get the curve on it, but it's the right look from the transfer out of Central Arkansas, one of the many in this wonderful recruiting class out of Central Arkansas last year. He was 2024 Atlantic Sun Conference all-freshman team, so you got to look at him there. Scored 2 goals, had 2 assists in his 17 games played, and he's certainly come in and contributed. A goal and 2 assists here for SMU already this year. Great season for the sophomore. Great start to the collegiate career for the sophomore, both last year and this year.
From Montreal, and there's a lot of jersey tugging, and the foul, which everybody wearing red was calling. Wearing red, that is Cardinal red. Both teams have red as a primary color, and now Stanford with another opportunity. Brunet was the Canadian Collegiate Player of the Year in 2023, Pan-Canadian Athlete of the Year as well.
We're going to see once again standing over the ball. It's going to be Partal and Bohane. It'll be interesting because it's on the other side now. It's going to be across into the box. Whether it's an outswing or an in-swing will depend on who's going to take this.
Bohane in 10, Partal 16, raising his hand, and he's going to whip it in high and bounces to Dominguez. Pretty solid contact, but it ended up straight at the keeper. We'll see if we get another angle to see how that ball was directed towards net. We also have a Mustang down.
Yeah, here's the ball in from Partal, and you can see just a lot of traffic, and that's once again Allen rising alongside Starnes. Starnes definitely on Allen because those are the two tallest men on the field, one covering the other. And that's a battle in the air between them. Starnes just gets a big knock in the back of the head. You can see him working it out there. Happy to see him up quickly.
Allen, 17 in black. He is 6'3" out of Danville, played in the San Jose Earthquakes Academy. Outstanding youth career. And now we've got bodies falling all over the place. And that was clean evidently on that far side. Crowd wants a handball. They're going to play on. Bank stolen. I think it was Bohane that took a tumble on an aggressive challenge. That was clean. And with 1 minute left, still nothing between these two.
Oh, it's really starting to open up, though. We're going up and down, back and forth, and these teams are getting pulled a little bit further apart in their defensive shape.
Get a sense a goal is coming at some point. Stanford has been asking more questions here of late. But obviously it's SMU that is looking for any result. RPI, though, if they can get a win, that is what really would propel them. The RPI loves wins, the rating system. Ties, it doesn't credit as much at all. And Stanford, of course, trying to keep that #1 spot. 10 seconds left. SMU does not look like they're in a hurry to put this ball back in. And after the opening 45, #1 Cardinal with their hands full. SMU on their lone trip to the West Coast, their lone game. They play Stanford to a 0-0 draw at the half. We'll have halftime coming up here on the ACC.
Stanford to have a three-peat in national titles back to back to back. So quite a tough schedule for SMU to close out the year, but they certainly seem well up to the task and a fantastic year for them. These two teams actually were picked to finish tied in the ACC. In the ACC preseason poll, Stanford and SMU picked to finish tied at 5th place. SMU right now sitting in 6th, tied with Duke.
And both the Virginia and Stanford men's and women's teams are both looking for a national title this year. They've both been in the top 5 of the rankings at some points. Virginia's men's and women's team were #1 at the same time. Stanford #1 in men's, #2 in the women's side. And you called that match yesterday, 5-1 win over SMU. That offense doing what it's done all year.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big second half. 4 goals for the Stanford Cardinal in the second half right there. It's certainly a different game.
Yeah, the Cardinal trying to replicate what the women's squad did yesterday. Men's team trying to string together a huge second half to keep this one-loss season alive. 12-1-1. And they not only have not lost here at home, they also have won every single match. That's the longest winning streak, tied for the longest winning streak at home in Stanford history. They're 9 straight wins. And see if they can strike early here in the second half. They're coming out aggressive.
I'll say in Stanford men's history, men's soccer
Thank you.
history. There we go.
Very key. Very important distinction.
I think both teams here coming out pretty strong to start the second half. Stanford coming out with a vengeance, trying to control this match right now, right from the jump. You know, we talk a lot about rankings and standings, but at the end of the day,
this is going to roll down to Dominguez. Didn't have as much on it as Jack Pim wanted.
At the end of the day, the difference between these two teams right now is 4 points in the ACC. That's a win and a draw. So there's not that much difference. That obviously speaks to how strong the ACC is. 5 teams ranked in the top 25 of the national poll. Stanford at 1, North Carolina State at 3, and then you got Virginia at 11, Duke at 19, UNC at 22. But it's funny, you look at how these two teams matched up last year, ended in a 2-2 draw, and you can see why they match up so well together. They know each other's weaknesses, they know each other's strengths, and it seems that they just match up evenly throughout the course of the entire game. Everybody knows that you can't let the other one get going, so it becomes kind of choppy, and it's been a beautiful chess match so far.
Yeah, last year they finished with 3 combined goals in the final 20 minutes of the match in Dallas. And it's not like, again, these two teams have been unfamiliar with each other when they became these, still just odd to say, conference opponents last season. They have a pretty deep history. SMU, last one in Dallas in 2021 against the Cardinal. There's a slip. It stays up for Will Cleary, and that is going to land out of the stadium.
Not a bad idea by the senior captain, right back, but it's a big hop, kind of hard to get over. Stanford, though, first 3.5 minutes of this second half have been entirely in their own attacking half.
Jeremy Gunn watching.
That's one.
Now they're getting some looks here. I don't know, I'll have to ask Jeremy Gunn how happy he is with the looks they're taking. They're getting the looks, and as he told us, just like USF, all these matches are against such top competition that you get 1, 2, or 3 goals. Sometimes it's not indicative of how well you played, and all you can do is generate the looks.
Corner kick won here by the Stanford Cardinal. This is a second half team. Offensively, 9 goals throughout the entirety of this season scored in the first half, and defensively in the second half, 23 goals scored. 3 times as many and a little bit more scored in the second half as the first. So offensively, this is a second half team.
12th all-time meeting between these two. SMU has not won here at Stanford since 2000. And this is cleared away off of the corner and played back to Schnebley. Last time SMU beat the #1 team of the nation, you got to go all the way back to almost 30 years ago, 1998, when they took down #1 Indiana in Dallas. And the last time they did it on the road, also against Indiana, but it was back in 1979 in Bloomington. Most of these players, they were not even thoughts at that point. '98, tough for me to say, but I don't think hardly any of these players were even alive, if any. There's a tumble there on the far side. And it's Alex Chow who got tangled up with Luis Flores.
Yeah, Chow just goes over the back of Flores there. Nothing else really to it, but good chance for SMU to take a beat, calm down, and get possession.
Well, intercept there. Zach Bohane's on, and he had a relatively quiet opening half. Takes a beautiful first touch, sets it up on his left to Chow. And some nice defense there in the middle by Landsberg. Alex Chow had it set up after that run we've seen many times on this pitch.
I would have loved Chow to just take that one time. He takes the extra touch, and with that, the window closes down. He has to just put that in one time.
As Bohane working his magic. Long throw, and this gets down towards the 6. And a shot is away. It takes a deflection. Now Chow battling for it again. And again, SMU able to clear. Can they get something here against the run of play? Stanford's dominated in the second half, and the answer is no. Turned away, and that's Palmer Bank. I'm going to amend what I said earlier. I don't think anybody, guarantee nobody on the pitch was born in 1998. It's hard for me to say that. All 2000s. And here comes Bohane making his move. And Brunet, who has really done the job tonight, able to steer him away. Cleary, Bohane, back to Cleary. That's one of many, many, many times those two have been linked up.
You can see how low SMU are sitting right now. That 3-back becomes a 5-back in that defensive shape, and it becomes a low block, which is exceptionally difficult to break down. Problem with that is Stanford are fine to shoot from outside the 18, which is what they're going to have to do, because it's just that much more difficult to get inside the box when you get a low block. So Zach Bohane and Alex Chow on those outside mids are going to have to resort to maybe taking a touch inside and getting a shot off from outside the 18.
I think that's a response because they know how good Stanford's been in the second half, that more defensive shape.
I think it's an unintentional response to how Stanford have started this half. SMU have been pushed back right from the jump here in this second half, and they're just trying to absorb the attack of the Stanford Cardinal right now and bend and not break before they can go back the other way. It's just that how that defensive shape shapes up when you play in a 3-back and those outside mids come all the way back in that defensive shape. But when you get stuck in that, there's really no outlet to get the ball forward and get your players forward. Now they're going to be under the attack of the very long throw of Will Cleary.
Wanted to throw it into the box. Wasn't there, though. Cleary, though, will get another chance with the ball at his feet. And Bohane with the left foot to the back post and off the line. Dominguez, he didn't get all of it, but it was cleared in the end. He got some help on the far side.
That was Pimentel clearing that out.
Who has been getting his steps in as usual, running up and down the pitch, and he made the important clearance after Dominguez was not able to punch it all the way free. Back heel, Cleary and Bohane have been trying to get together here in the second half.
And get a high press here for the Stanford Cardinal as well, just trying to keep SMU in their own defensive half. SMU doing a good job of not forcing it forward. Sometimes when you get this kind of pressure, you can just want to send the ball over the top, and all that does is just give the ball back to the other team. So SMU doing a good job of staying calm in this phase and finding these pockets.
Mitchell was making a run, but they didn't see the initial one, so he had to stop and start, and the ball was cut out anyway. Stanford has been one of the top offensive teams in the nation, one of the best offensive teams that the 3-time champion head coach Jeremy Gunn has orchestrated, averaging about 2.3 goals a contest. But tonight it's been SMU that has absorbed their offensive attack.
Well, that time it's Jeremy Gunn that we hear on the sideline. I think he wanted a foul called there. SMU coming back the other way. They've been pretty dangerous on the counterattack. We'll see what they can create here.
Fletcher, or excuse me, it's Mitchell who is making this run against Cleary.
The other number 7.
Thank you. They're both fast.
They're both fast. They both play in the left wing.
Yeah, Jeremy Gunn, I think he was jealous of Kevin Hudson in the first half that he got all the mic time.
You mentioned just how good this Stanford team has been. We talked about their offense. I mentioned how good of a second half team they are offensively. 9 goals in the first half, 23 in the second half. But defensively as well, they concede fewer goals in the second half than in the first half. This team truly, you can use the word balanced to describe them. They're 15th nationally in goal differential, 31 goals scored, just 12 goals conceded, and that's across 14 games. That's a plus 19 in goal differential. Balanced is truly the key word.
Shots and goals per game would both be the most if it ended today. 19 shots a game, 2.3 goals a game, most in the Jeremy Gunn era. And we talk about the 4 clean sheets in a row. This would be their 5th. It's their longest such streak since 2017, where they went 9 straight matches without allowing a goal en route to the national title.
And we talk about SMU's strong schedule and how they're finishing out this season against Stanford and then against Virginia, but seems to be no issue for them. Obviously, playing ranked opponents is something that you do a lot in the ACC, and for SMU against ranked opponents, they opened with a ranked opponent game. As game 1 of the season, they drew 2-2 against Kansas City. They've played 3 ranked opponents so far this season. They're 1 win and 2 draws versus ranked opponents. They haven't dropped a game against opponents that have been ranked nationally. They won 2-0 as we get another look here.
Alex Chow down. Had to really stretch for this.
You can just see it. Luckily, he's going to get a helping hand up right now from the referee. It's just a tough angle. That's also going to hurt, too. Yeah, this turf is watered, or this grass is watered, I'll say, but that still hurts. He's been running hard on that left side this entire game.
Here's another guy, Chow. When he's healthy, he's not going to leave the pitch very often. And here Jeremy Gunn is going to get the team together using this short little break with the injury. Chow gives the thumbs up. Like the looks, though, Stanford's getting, Sarah? You like the chances they're creating?
Oh, absolutely. This has been an outstanding start to the second half for this Stanford Cardinal team, getting a ton of shots, basically controlling possession, definitely controlling the game. Most of this second half has been played in their attacking half, and they've made it hard for SMU in the past 14 minutes, really. They've come out strong as we knew that they would, and it seems to be pretty relentless. Don't expect this Stanford offense to let up. SMU are going to have to find a way to not just absorb this pressure from the Stanford Cardinal. They're going to have to find a way to get themselves on the ball, because it will be too much to defend for the full 45.
That's Sarah Ashe. I'm Greg Wong here on a cold, overcast night at Stanford. Sarah said the pitch is probably pretty saturated from all the rain we had earlier.
Playing really well, though.
Yes.
Really not playing like it's been saturated. Shout out to the grounds crew.
Only seen a couple of slips other than that. They're the hardest working people at any university, you can say almost without a doubt, the grounds crew. Bank, Bohane, trying to navigate through the Mustang traffic. Now Palmer Bank. Cleary exchanging with Pym. Partle, and that was miscommunication.
Yeah, you see where he was trying to go. He had Fletcher Bank kind of hanging out in the 18. Just trying to play that one on the ground, though.
Pimentel with a head of steam. He is racing the other way, trying to set it up for their goal score, and this takes a touch over the byline. It will be a corner, but Sogamonian had some mean intentions when he initially saw that half volley.
Yeah, well, with what he's done in the past few games, you just hold your breath when he gets the ball at the top of the 18, because you feel like it's about to hit the back of the net. Deflection there off Stanford Cardinal. But again, SMU have been lethal on this counter attack. It's been working so well for them. And once again, not successful in putting it in the back of the net, but they win a corner kick off of it.
Yeah, normally when you see a red blur running on this pitch, it's a good thing. But there, Pimentel was a blur, and that put everybody in a panic situation. for SMU. Here's Flores to take this corner kick. In swinging ball, headed, and it came off of a Cardinal. Now Flores coming up a little lame.
Yeah, you don't love to see that off of that corner kick. He's grabbing his hamstring and he's going to go down. And we won't speculate what it is, but hope for the best for Luis Flores. Talked about him plenty in this match. The transfer out of Oral Roberts after last year. He's got a goal and 3 assists. He had 2 assists in the last 4 matches for this squad. He's been hot so far and never the sight that you want to see. And both teams will utilize this for a bit of a water break.
He's from Lufkin, Texas. Returns to his home state to finish out his collegiate career. And again, they'll use this as an injury timeout. So we've got just under half an hour to play. And still, SMU has held the line. But they've faced an onslaught here in the second half. 12 shots for the Cardinal for the game now. And SMU, I don't think they have, well, that Sogomonian shot, that was their first shot attempt of the second half.
And we get a look at shots there. Defensively, SMU 13 goals against all season across 13 games. So they're averaging exactly 1 goal allowed per game. But they've been able to hold opponents to an average of 7.5 shots per game. That's shots, not shots on goal, which is an outstanding statistic. If you can hold your opponent to 7 shots, you're probably averaging less than half of that on goal, maybe half if it's a really high percentage shooting team. But Stanford already in the second half, 12 shots, 3 of those on target, almost double what SMU have been averaging. That just shows you what an offense this Stanford team has, but SMU really able to absorb that blow with this veteran defense.
Again, Flores still being tended to down near the corner flag. And this would be a huge loss if he's not able to continue. He's part of that Mustang collection of players that just are running nonstop and sprinting nonstop. But SMU and these men's soccer ranks, they have just made this conference even stronger. Their presence. Just no easy days in the ACC, as seemingly every coach we talk to says. And Stanford, this season, they have made it look much easier than it usually is in this conference.
Jeremy Gunn, talking to him before the match, is now I think Stanford is going to give Luis a bit of a salute as he heads off the pitch. Jeremy Gunn, we were talking to him before the match, and with the number of teams that are in the ACC, which is 15, you can't play every single team in one season. So you're going to play about half of them one year and about half of them the next year. So you actually don't get to see every team every single year. We were talking to Jeremy Gunn. He said it's actually really nice to have gone to play this team last year and then get to play them this year. There's some familiarity that we don't have with teams in the ACC, A, because we're new, and B, because we don't get to play them every year.
And Jeremy Gunn, he has seen his fair share of schools through the year. Really enjoyed talking to him just about the international players he has, a native of England, who when he first got here, his first stop was as a player at Cal State Bakersfield. They don't have many like that across the pond. Here's this shot off of the rebound, and Pimentel doesn't catch it clean. And he still says he keeps in contact with some of his Bakersfield teammates. He also coached in Chico, and literally over the past few days, he's been having phone calls with them.
One of the beautiful things about college soccer, once you're a teammate, you're a teammate for life. It's a different kind of bond, certainly. Especially nice to talk about here on senior night for the senior class here on this Stanford team that Jeremy Gunn said it's kind of been the heartbeat of this program for the past 4 years that they've been here.
would be disappointed if this scoreline remains the same, no doubt. Much more than SMU, who also is vying for the 3 points. It's been Stanford that has been able to keep a lot of this second half possession as play is restarted. There's Palmer Bank.
Yeah, that's Daniel Escorcia, who just took down Palmer Bank. But I love that energy from Escorcia. We've mentioned his name so many times, rightfully so. He's been literally everywhere on this pitch, and this time he finds himself all the way down on the right-hand side on the sideline as the number 10. And Palmer Bank just gets a step on him. He's a little late on the tackle, and that's about it. But that's the energy SMU need right now. Not a bad foul.
Yeah, you get a feeling number 10s, when they have to play some defense, they take some pride in going up against the big boys. This is headed, but it came off of a Cardinal, and it will be a goal kick.
And you look at the shots on goal once again for SMU, 7 shots, 0 on target still. And it's free kicks like that where, yeah, you're putting the ball into the box, but how can we make it a little bit more dangerous? How can we cause some chaos? Can we maybe, I don't know, cause the keeper to come out of the net? Stanford have usually taken slightly better opportunities than that, but if you put that on the other end, that's been kind of the picture of how SMU have taken their free kicks, and especially with Stanford in control of most of this possession, where our heads are basically turned to the right now this entire game. In the next free kick that SMU get, I would really love to see them force Rowan Schnebley into some kind of a decision on that side. Or on that other side.
I forgot there was another side. Yeah. Well, Jeremy Gunn was telling us we don't have these analytics readily available, but in terms of expected goals, the XGs, as they say, here's Fletcher Bank making this run to the byline, and he earns the corner. The expected goals in the last match against USF, 4-0 to the Cardinal, even though they only ended up winning, and the stat that matters, the real goals, 1-0. I'd say tonight there are a few that Stanford is wishing they had back.
We got to look there at Jeremy Gunn talking to Shane DeFlores, giving him a send-off and some instructions before he enters the match, assuming after this corner kick.
Yeah, senior about to head on to the pitch. Again, final regular season home match at Kagan for either the men's or women's team. Women wrapped it up yesterday. Header!
What a save.
Swatted by Dominguez. And he needed the reflexes to get that over the crossbar, because that was coming in hot.
Absolutely outstanding from Dominguez right there. You can see this ball in. It's going to go off of the head of Tenconi Gradias, who, by the way, does an excellent job of redirecting and getting power on it, but not quite as good as that save from Martin Dominguez. Season high, 12 shots faced against UNC, 5 saves. He's 1 save away from tying that. He's officially got the most shots faced on his season.
They've been using multiple keepers this year, but Dominguez, the transfer from Oregon State, in there tonight, and he's been outstanding. And there with some outstanding hands. That was the closest the Card have been to pulling ahead, but SMU doing what they've done. This will sail over everybody on that far side.
Get a look there at Palmer Bank, twin brother to Fletcher Bank. Fletcher is the senior tonight, who is one of the seniors who is being honored. Palmer Bank, who you see right here, took a redshirt year, so he's actually a redshirt junior right now. He will be honored next year after his, or in his senior year. If you're wondering why they're twins and only one of them is being honored on senior night, that is why.
And he's starting, Palmer, his 55th straight match in a Cardinal uniform. Now that meter's going to keep on running after this year. This is onside, and that's a beautiful through ball. Sogamonian is in. He makes the turn, but could not get around it.
Oh, that felt like the opportunity. It really did. A beautiful flick on, and they get their goal scorer, Sogamonian, in the right position. He's got a couple of defenders and black shirts right around him, so it's difficult. Once again, you kind of wish he hadn't taken that extra touch, but that ball seemed to be a little trapped under his feet. He just tried to get it out from underneath him, and it was in that moment Stanford collapsed onto it.
Sarah's talked about how he's scored 2 hat tricks this year. He's one of just 2 players in the nation to score hat tricks in 2 separate occasions. The other is Donovan Phillip at NC State. Not able to convert there. Can the Cardinal make them pay in a hurry? Down to the deck goes Fletcher Bank, and he doesn't get the call. This is out. Did it take a touch off a Mustang? And as the official, it did not. Sokomonian goal scorers like him do not like to see those chances go by the wayside. It was just an outstanding setup to get him to goal. Hat trick against BC, a hat trick against Cal. And this is where Sarah's talked about they have been so dangerous. And this is one of their primary stars, Jalen Mitchell, with some physical defense to steer him away. That's Will Cleary in a spot he's been a lot in his career.
Turn. Press it. Press it. Stop.
See, Jeremy Gunn, he's got a Starbucks cup on the far side of the pitch. I'm hoping that's some type of herbal tea. Bank goes down hard. That spill might leave a bruise. Really physical play that sends Bank to the ground.
What a tackle. Outstanding from Pinozzo. He gets up, he's fired up, he should be. That's beautiful defense right there by the senior.
Yeah, Pinozzo got a lot of ball. He also got a lot of hip. And you could feel that here in the booth. You probably could feel that in your living room. Here's this long throw in. Beautiful strength, but caught in the end by Dominguez.
And that's not easy. Martin Dominguez coming up with that in the middle of so much traffic. We'll get another look here. Palmer Bank with a huge throw, and you see how much traffic around Dominguez alone. Great job to hold on to that cleanly.
That's a contested catch, and you see all the black jerseys around him. Dominguez did not start a game until his junior season, which was a year ago. He's originally from Dallas. And he's down now, hurt, and banged up after that last catch. We try to see what exactly the issue is. He came down really hard near his net.
Yeah, we won't speculate. We do see his teammate in Landsberg just stretching him out, so, you know, we can hope it's just a cramp, but luckily for SMU, if it's the goalkeeper, they're gonna take their time. They're gonna let him do what he needs to do so he doesn't come off of the field. This player actually transferred, not this past year, quite a few years ago. Martin Dominguez went to Oregon State University, transferred after the 2022 season. So he's actually familiar with the Stanford Cardinal, not just from the ACC, but from those Pac-12 days as well.
Beavers, by the way, last team to score against Stanford. It came more than a month ago in this one of a number of dramatic wins the Cardinal have had this season. The first time the Beavers and Cardinal played against each other as non-conference opponents. So Dominguez is being stretched out by the SMU training staff. Dominguez, during that debut season a year ago, 5 shutouts, made 50 saves, and he is the first player or the first person in his family to earn a college degree. And it looks like he's all right to stay in.
Stanford using that time to make a substitution. The freshman, Tomo Allen, number 17, out of Danville, California, re-entering the game. And he caused some problems for SMU with that physicality that he brought. We'll see what he brings here in the second half.
And here is Allen. He's been a spark plug, and he was the one that got the winner against Oregon State about a month ago. The Cardinal have not lost since that match. They've in fact won every match since. That was coming off another dramatic road trip, San Jose State, Syracuse. They had a lot of goals late, but Well, things break down here. Sogomonian sends it right into the arms of Schnebly.
Not enough can be said about the excellent work of two players on that play. Was Daniel Escorcia with two Stanford defenders around him, getting the turn, finding the space in the middle, and then playing that ball with the outside of his right foot to find the on-streaking Sogomonian, who does a great job just to get a shot off again with two Stanford players around him.
Well, Sogomonian's getting his chances to eat tonight, and he's been close. So far, no goals for one of the best goal scorers in the ACC, who has been scorching hot. And Stanford has had to really hold the line, and he's going to want these last two chances back. Both of them, he made that long run, and I want to say it was Escorcia that also set him up for that first chance, created it. And Sogomonian has been putting away some of those lately. Of course, he's going against Rowan Schnebly, one of the top goalkeepers in the nation. Sogomonian draws the foul here.
He's in a chat with the ref. The crowd didn't like that. But you see him get the ball, and then right into the back goes the freshman, Jack Pym.
I think he was appealing for a card. The referee, you can see, just pretty much told him to get up. It's Frank Anderson again, who's overseeing things. SMU looking dangerous here as we continue to tick down to the second half. Under 18 to play. Can they create another shot here? Sogomonian, a clean header! And he just cannot get that final touch he's been looking for tonight. This sniper has come ever so close, and here maybe his best chance.
Yeah, a stunning ball in. That was Pimentel putting exactly on the head of Sogomonian, and he certainly is going to want that back. It's not a lot of times you're going to find yourself alone, no defenders around you, with an opportunity to use your head, put that in the back of the net. He probably scores that 9.9 out of 10 times, and he certainly will want that back. Those are the kind of opportunities that when you're playing a strong team like Stanford that's ranked, that's coming off of so many wins, that's one of those things that you kind of have to put away. That could be a difference maker. Stanford appealing for a card here. They've got a player down. Looks like it's Will Cleary, the Stanford captain.
And it's going to be Schnebly that actually is shown a card. He is wandering out way away from his goal to the other side of the pitch, and he is making more appeals, and he was shown a yellow card. Now, this team's got a lot of fire. You see Jeremy Gunn, that tells you all you need to know. He just pointed to the top of his head, telling his guys to play smart.
Well, it's gotten physical. As you see here, Rowan Schnebly getting that yellow card. If you're talking to the ref and you're not wearing a captain's armband, you can pretty much expect that.
Yeah, if you say anything beyond hi, hello, it's usually what it's going to get you. Stanford's mantra in a way this season, they've been the comeback Cardinal, even though they're the #1 team. And while this won't be a comeback, this would be another late result if they can grab it. And it is Sogomonian that's able to get on top of this. I said one of two. He's actually one of 4 players in the nation that has scored multiple hat tricks. And now onto the foot goes Mitchell. Sends it far post. Pimentel giving up a lot of size, and he can't get on the end of it. Didn't get a great angle of the foul on the near side to assess just how physical it was. You saw obviously what the Cardinal, what they were arguing for and what they thought of it. But another one in the book. And if you're just joining us, yellow cards tonight. Schnebly and also Pim. And for Pim, that's his 5th, which means it's an automatic suspension for the next game. They're terrific freshmen. This is weighted through, and it's going to land perfectly at the feet of Mitchell, who's going to give it up for a one-time shot. Mitchell again, trying to spin onto it. And Brunet was not able to get the first. Mitchell able to recover it for SMU.
You got time. You got time.
They're up to 11 shots now for the game. And right now, they've got some fresh legs. Brunet, despite playing this entire match. And now Mitchell to the byline, centers it, and nobody could get a touch on it. Otherwise, it might be 1-0 to SMU. Again, a block by the Cardinal.
No.
And this is the best stretch of the night for the Mustangs.
Yeah, you can't say they haven't had their opportunities. They've created many of them.
Take him on, Ryan.
This comes off the head of Palmer Bank.
Ryan, wide.
A dozen shots now for SMU, 13 for the Cardinal, and probably about half, if not more, have come in the last 15, 20 minutes of this second half as we tick to under 15 to go. Jeremy Gunn said he wants to celebrate senior day pretty much as little as possible. All the focus is on this match. That's not because he doesn't appreciate these seniors and their families, but he said we'll have plenty of time to do that after the season. Right now we got business to take care of, and he knows even unranked teams like SMU mid-table squads in the ACC can prove to be a handful, and it's certainly come to fruition tonight.
Charles, top of the box, Charles.
There's been a goal in every single match that Stanford's played this year, one way or another. This is out. This should be a corner. It is. And the Mustangs, you'd think, are not going to be in a hurry to pull the trigger. Clock only stops on the referee's signal, and it's going to continue to wind here.
Ryan! Ryan!
Escorcia is just going to leave it. Brunet, and a sliding attempt by Starnes. It sends a Cardinal down. That's Cleary. And now Cleary has something to say to Starnes.
Yeah, they're going to rule that an SMU throw-in as well, so this will stay down here as we get a look.
You can see why. Cleary,
Certainly.
a little heated.
You can clearly see why.
Huh. I bet he's never heard that one before. Way to go, Sarah. Well, Cleary was one of the great Cardinals we've seen. Just such a strong anchor for them, and that was not the throw-in they were looking for. And maybe in Will Cleary's mind, he'd say, the ball does not lie.
Big ball coming, big ball coming. Second ball, Bravo. Strike! Can you not see that, Jeremy? Can you not see it?
What's SMU been able to do, Sarah, that's given the Cardinals some issues? You mentioned earlier the counters have been impressive and the speed has really been impressive for them.
I think it's been a few things. If he says you see Jeremy Gunn getting the referee's attention, saying, hey, they're pulling on the shirt, they're pulling on the collar. That's exactly what I was going to say. Point number one is, ever since Will Cleary went down on this near side, Stanford got emotional, Rowan Schnebley got a yellow card. They haven't quite been the same. They haven't quite been able to recover from that. It feels like they got overly emotional. They weren't able to kind of reel themselves back and refocus. And then on the other hand, to give all credit where credit is due to SMU, it's been the counterattacks, and it's been orchestrated in full really by Daniel Escorcia, who's getting his head up, playing those balls through and splitting the defensive line of the Stanford Cardinal to find his forwards rushing onto it. And that puts a lot of pressure on this Stanford defense, and they've they've been a little out of sorts. They've been out of position. They've been pulled apart, and SMU has been able to pick through those lines, and all credit to them using their speed. It started with counterattacks, and then they were able to keep possession in that attacking half. So it's kind of twofold. It started with counterattacks, but they were able to keep that possession in the attacking half.
Well, SMU, they might not be a team that is indicative of their record, 7-3-3, but they were ranked in the top 10 coming into the season after the run to the quarterfinals a year ago, and they have a lot of talent with all these transfers, and it's starting to come together here at the end. They've been in really good form recently, and now against the top team in the nation, traveling halfway across the country. That's played through the back, and Brunet doesn't like it. He's gonna get called for the foul. He thought it was all ball first. These two teams seem to play a lot of close matches, including in Dallas a year ago, and the Cardinal have come back twice in the 80th minute or later this year. A third time they drew. That ball hung in the air a long time, but Bohane was not able to get to it first. Really good showing at Kagan tonight for the final home regular season game for the Cardinal. They're hoping for an eruption and a celebration in the final 10 minutes. Cleary, ball into the near post, and Tomo Allen almost got a clean strike to that. And he gets knocked down. The ball goes over the byline. It'll be a corner, but Tomo Allen with a vicious header that was played well by Starnes.
I'd say even better defending by Starnes right there, is able to get to it. Yes, it goes off of him, but he gets to Tomo Allen just in time to disrupt that. Now a big corner kick here. It'll be Zach Bohane with the left for the Stanford Cardinal.
Slade Starnes, Alex Salvo, those two have been stalwarts at their defensive positions for SMU. This glancing header from Shane DeFlores, knocked away, blocked for another Stanford corner, but I think this was heading on target.
You see there, DeFlores somehow able to redirect it, and once again, it's the head of who else but the big number 5, Slade Starnes, coming in to save the day.
You got a name like Slade Starnes. You're born to be a terrific college soccer player. Well, that name really do anything well. Oh, beautiful back heel. Cleary keeps it up, back post. And this free header, there was a little bit of traffic to work through, but still it gave Fletcher Bank a shot. And Will Cleary with a beautiful bit of skill right here.
Yeah, you see this absolutely gorgeous from Cleary, able to keep it in, find Fletcher Bank, who's actually, the traffic that he runs into is his own player in Tomo Allen. It's obviously not a come from behind since this is a 0-0, but Stanford no strangers to late goals. There are 2 1-1 in contests in which they're trailing in the 80th minute, with 2 of those goals having come in the final 60 seconds of the match. They were able to salvage a draw against San Jose State University with an equalizer in the last 36 seconds. That one was off of the head of Alfonso Tenconi Gradias. So this is a team that is very much used to playing down to the final second. As we once again see goalkeeper for SMU Mustangs, Dominguez, is down.
Yeah, the clock will stop while he gets this stretched out by the lads Landsberg. Yeah, the comeback wins or draws for the Cardinal. San Jose State, which is the only tie they've had this year. And the comeback against Oregon State, where they won it 3-2. Last time they conceded any goal on September the 24th, over a month ago. And then against Syracuse, they did it on the road. And that was a win, part of this one-loss ACC season for the Cardinal, and they're trying to keep it that way, but still 6:59 left.
We get a look here at Martin Dominguez hopping around and then feels something in that calf, grabbing it, trying to stretch it out. He's still getting looked at by the training staff on the field right now. It's so tough when you're a keeper and you can't just step off for a second like a field player and then step back on, I don't know, a minute later if you feel better. You really have to make a big decision if you can go or if you can't.
It's another one that I could feel up here, as that just came biting all of the sudden. Now, usually that happens to me in just the middle of the night for no reason, but not when I'm playing a full 90-minute soccer match, which is much more understandable.
I mean, with how hard both of these sides have been running in this match, it's been physical, it's been up and down. There's been a lot of ground covered on both sides, and Dominguez has been working in goal. We mentioned his season highs coming into this. 12 shots faced against UNC back on September 20th. 5 saves against Clemson was the season high. That was on September 13th, and you look at what he's done today. He's faced 17 shots. He's got 4 saves. Been a big day for him between the posts.
Cardinal approaching their season average in attempts per game, but nothing to show for it. Not wet balls with the ground still moist because of the mistiness of the day. Had some rain this weekend. First rain we've had in a couple weeks. Prior to that, we had a pretty dry summer. This is reached at the byline, so it will not be a corner in Gronefeld with the play. It looks like Enzo Panozzo is going to try to launch this one into the 18.
Yeah, you can see how difficult it is to get a grip on that wet ball, though, right now.
Especially hard on those long throws, but it falls kindly.
Was Brunet coming in with the left. Couple times SMU have found themselves with a loose ball at the top of the 18 and just can't get their hips right around it. So many opportunities for this Mustangs team that they might watch back and want a do-over.
That's their 13th shot, only one of which has been on target. Brunet. Now Jalen Mitchell. And a sliding challenge by Bohane. And this was also a double deflection. It came off of Mitchell. And he kicks it away from Cleary. As SMU is in time-wasting mode. Cleary saying, what the heck? And now Cleary is being told to throw it in from further back. So none of that went Will Cleary's way. It's going to go back to SMU. You just get the feeling it looks like Stanford, came out so aggressive out of the gates in the second half. Players just running out of gas a little bit. SMU has looked like the fresher side the final 20 minutes or so.
You get a look here. Starnes wanted more of a call than what he got. He wanted a yellow card on Tomo Allen. You can see the grab around the waist, and that's what he's pleading to the sideline official about.
Stanford fans know Tomo Allen comes off the bench, but when he's in the match, he tends to make his presence felt in a big way. And Stanford capitalize here, winning into the midfield. It's out wide for Shane DeFlores. And then it goes over the touchline. Fletcher Bank will grab it. And all these black jerseys rushing into the box for another potential late winner in this season of comebacks. Here it comes. Bank again, into the middle. Bohane, Cleary, DeFlores flicked up ahead. Dominguez finally is able to jump on top of it and securely take it in. And again, this time it's the other leg that.
Yeah, the crowd thinks this is time wasting, but he's been working. Look at this incredible work by Dominguez in goal. This is not easy. Doesn't come up with it cleanly. Look at how quickly he pounces on that one. It looks like he's thinking he's going to punch it. He changes his mind midair, opts to just fall on top of it. Now, it's not time wasting if the clock is stopped. For those who aren't as familiar with college soccer, it's not like pre-college or pros where you have a running clock and you get stoppage time added on at the end. It's a running clock, and when the buzzer sounds at 0:00, it's over. So if the ref indicates we're going to stop the clock will stop, and then it'll restart when he indicates. But there will be no stoppage time. When the buzzer hits 0, that is the end of the game. So this can't be considered time wasting because there's simply no time running off of the clock. It can disrupt a little bit of a flow, but you could argue that SMU has had a little bit more of the momentum right now in this back half of the second 45 than the Stanford Cardinal.
Well, if this score remains the same, we're going to try to talk to Jeremy Gunn after the game and get his thoughts. Dominguez is the reason that the Cardinal have not been able to pull ahead, and both legs have been cramping. He's grabbed for both calves. And I think to your point, while Stanford's upset because they were enjoying the rhythm they were in, those are the opportunities where SMU has been quick to put it back in play if play continued, and those have been when the counters have almost sucker punched the Cardinal. So play will go on, and Dominguez needs those legs to hold up for another 3.5 minutes to get a key point on the road against the #1 team of the nation, who will drop points in ACC play for only the second time this season. But the Cardinal want to have something to say about it. Palmer Bank. Flicked with a back heel, back for Bank, whipped in, dangerous for Bohane. It flutters out, takes a couple touches. This was off of the Mustangs. Tomo Allen, Bohane, DeFlores all in the vicinity.
Oh, once again, it's Slade Starnes, second on minutes in this team for a reason.
Allen, Bohane couldn't settle it with a first touch. Former Furman standouts. One of these big transfers, Starnes, has been a brick wall. Cleary, Bohane. Bohane gets on top of it. And he tries to roll this. It glanced off of the cleat and the boot of a red player. So it'll stay with the Cardinal with the corners. We take the 2 minutes left.
Yeah, Stanford are going to try to go quickly here, as you said, because 2 minutes remain on this clock. It'll be Bohane with the left as we get a look here. Cleary was just battling through, and Bohane picks it up, does a great job to win the corner kick that he'll take right now.
Whipped in. Cardinal looking for the winner. Fans have their phones out in the stands trying to record possibly another dramatic moment in this special season. That one sent through. Lasered towards the net. Cut out though, and now Schnebley way off his line to try to jumpstart the Cardinal attack. 1.5 minutes left. Bohane's offered many outstanding moments in his career. One of the 5 seniors. "17 shots for the Cardinal. 13 for SMU. Bohane can't keep it in. And this clock is going to wind, and we'll see if that's the last chance that Stanford's going to have to get this towards goal.
Referee's going to stop the clock here as SMU's taking their time. Jeremy Gunn certainly having something to say about it as well.
And Dominguez, even if this clock is stopped, he wants to use some time to Just make sure his legs are with him. And he's going to try to boot this as far as he can. So came off of the Mustangs, Sogamonian, and now the Cardinal have to reset it quick. Half a minute left. Some defending now for the Cardinal to do. SMU is trying to steal it. A tumble, he goes down, no whistle. Milton Lopez, who's hardly played tonight. Now Tomo Allen with 12. Can Fletcher Bank get this one away? He can, but it never had a chance. And for only the second time in conference play, the Stanford Cardinal have dropped points, and they have failed to win.